Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Football Fignuts podcast. If you've counted all of them and you've made it past 2020 and you're ready for a new podcast episode, this is season 4, episode 27. If you counted all of them, that's 177. I'm Craig.
My name is Britt.
And Britt, we're back.
Before we get anywhere, and before we go anywhere near anything tonight, I want to apologize to our loyal listeners. You did not miss an episode. We took last week off because, frankly, last Wednesday I awoke with a migraine, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be a hell of a day. And then a bunch of jackasses decided to try and run through the Capitol. And then I was just like, Craig, that's it. I'm shutting it down. I can't even concentrate. And Craig was like, yeah, let's just put it off till next week. So I have to own that because unlike some of our leaders, I do take responsibility for things I do. And I am responsible for there being a week lapse in the podcast, and I apologize. On top of that, we don't have our contributors as I promised tonight, scheduling conflicts for both of them. So we are going to have a season-ending roundtable very soon, but it's not going to be tonight. So I have to apologize for that as well. Real life happens, guys. That's just all there is to it.
Yeah, pretty much.
So that brings me to where we are now. It's divisional playoff weekend. There's a lot to discuss, but let's start where we always start. Craig, what are you drinking?
So tonight, you told me that Heady Topper's out, right? So
yes, Heady Topper from Vermont is from The Alchemist. The Alchemist is now distributing in our area, and Heady Topper is like their best known.
Yep.
Whoa.
So I contacted the place I go to. I was like, hey, do you have any Heady Topper? He's like,
Craig knows a guy.
He's like, oh, we had it last week. I'm like, ah, damn it. But he's like, we do
it's
have.
It's gonna be tough to find for a while.
Yeah. He's like, there is some Fiddlehead left. I'm like, huh.
Ooh.
That sounds interesting. So I go there, and there were a couple 4-packs left, not a lot. This is Fiddlehead Brewing Company. It's unfiltered, so it's one of the, if you're not into unfiltered beers, they're a little different. They're definitely stronger, and what's the word? Hazier? Is that a good word to use for unfiltered?
Yeah. So what unfiltered basically means, there is Bush. Unfiltered basically means that any yeast that was kind of just lingering around isn't filtered out as before the bottling process. So there is the possibility of a little bit of yeast making it into your can and having a party with whatever sugars are left when the canning occurs. That's why I say it's stronger. If you take 2 IPAs and you bottle one unfiltered, and then you take some of the same batch, filter it, and bottle it, when you open those 2 cans a week or a month later, the unfiltered is going to possibly have a higher ABV. Not like, 20% higher, but it might be an 8.2 versus an 8.0.
Wow.
Which specific Fiddlehead are you drinking?
So this is Fiddlehead IPA. I'm trying to see if it actually has a name.
Yep, no, that's what it's called.
Yeah, that's just the name. That's just it. There's no fancy name. It's a green can with a silver. Yep. It's like a silver background. It kind of reminds me of a 7-Up can, if that makes sense.
Yep. I'm looking at it on Untapped. It's got a 393 global, and that's at 77,000 ratings.
I gotta take another sip of this. Let me see here. Wow.
It actually looks better. Wow, that's interesting. Go on.
So it's like it's a full mouth feel. It's not really dry at all. It dries out slowly on the back end. But it's almost like...
Okay.
I know I just said it reminds me of a 7-Up can. And maybe because it actually like that kind of like lingering lemon lime taste that 7-Up gives you. Mm-hmm. I taste that. So, interesting.
Interesting. Is that psychosomatic though because of the can?
It could be. It very well could be. But this is good. Very good.
Okay. So here's the interesting fact on it. I'm looking at its ratings on Untapped. This is a beer, and this is a rarity. It actually rates 0.02, so 2/1000th higher in a can than on draft.
Huh.
Most beers on Untapped rate higher off of the draft on average. This one is actually, they're like, go ahead, drink it out the can.
I guess it's maybe
Live
because
it
it's
up.
unfiltered, so you think it's like sitting because it's sitting longer? Maybe?
Don't know. That's a good question. That's a question next time we talk to Ryan. Let's talk about the unfiltereds. So we'll keep looking for Alchemist. We'll keep our eyes open for Fiddlehead going forward too. I'm looking forward to trying that myself when I can find it. So me on my end. So breaking news: I had my first COVID vaccination today.
Dun dun.
I'm fine.
Good.
I'm fine. I feel fantastic. My arm, as you know, when I move my arm, I can feel muscle soreness, but it feels like the level of if Craig had come up to me and decided to do a punch buggy 3 or 4 times in the same spot, that kind of like, ooh, yeah, okay, something impacted my arm, but otherwise I feel fine. So, not to tempt fate, I'm drinking diet soda tonight. I'm not gonna screw with it.
Hey, why not?
And
it's all right.
the other side of it is that my Chiefs are on Sunday. And I plan on being relatively intoxicated for the game. For those who may not remember, last year, their first game against Houston, before the big comeback, I was stone cold drunk. My wife had thrown a blanket over me and just said, just try not to pass out onto the floor because, what was it? They were down 21-0, 28-0, whatever it was.
Yeah, they were down
and
by at least 3 scores. 3 touchdowns.
This always happens. This always happens to me. And I was just like, so I'm not going to imagine it's going to be that bad this time around. But at the same time, I'm taking nothing for granted. So I'm giving my liver the night off. So let's go straight to burning hot takes.
Okay.
Craig, you want to give or receive tonight?
I will receive.
Okay. So we're starting to get and we're going to talk a little bit about the games that just happened. But my first question has to do with a matchup that is upcoming. And that is, what is going on here? I'm sorry, stand by.
Uh-oh.
There we go.
There we go.
My computer just decided that it wanted to play ads over what Craig was telling me. So I don't want to hear about dog food. I need to hear I'm pulling up articles so I can reference things. So Sunday night, Saints, Bucks. Drew Brees and Tom Brady will become the oldest pair of starting quarterbacks in the history of the NFL
Which
playoffs.
makes me feel great because I'm a year older than Brady.
So they asked Brees about it. Quote, Tom and I have a friendship and mutual respect. We were texting back and forth on Monday, chuckling at this whole scenario. Listen, he's 43. I turned 42 this Friday. So that's 85 years and a lot of football experience that's going to be on the field this Sunday. End quote.
Yeah.
Craig, is this a once-in-a-lifetime thing that we're going to see these two guys at this age?
You know what? Unless teams become have offensive lines the way the Saints and the Patriots did. It could be it's going to be a while before we see this again. And I don't just mean because of, we're going to have to wait, 20x years. Mm-hmm. But plus with the way the NFL is now, offenses are trying to be faster. Like if you look at the way Lamar plays, there's no way Lamar's getting to play till he's 40. No way.
Lamar, Mahomes, even Josh Allen.
Yeah, there's no way.
I mean, it's just, you're just like, oy vey. Every time Patrick Mahomes takes more than 4 steps on a play, I silently pray that this is not the end of his night, because
after that knee injury, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. And he plays with reckless abandon, and he loves to scramble. It's one of the things that makes him good. But what really worries me is he'll scramble outside the pocket and then he slows down a little bit and you're like, oh, good, he's looking to pass. And all of a sudden he just books towards wherever the nearest marker is.
Yep.
The first down marker's there, and he just beeline straight for the marker. And I'm like, oh no, here it comes.
And then you're is the turf gonna stay? Is his knee gonna stay in the direction it's pointing right now?
I'm honestly more worried when it comes to Mahomes of a late hit. I really am. He's very aware of those things, and if you watch him play, he loves to run just enough for a defender to get within
Yeah.
a
Like he
yard
tries
of
to
him.
time it.
Yeah, he does. He plays his angles very well, but that doesn't stop some jerk from hitting him out of bounds, and
Yep.
potentially causing a problem. So yeah, I kind of agree. I think this is going to be kind of historic, and I think it's going to be a fun game to watch.
I think it will be.
I do. I'm looking forward to it.
Unless it's like their last matchup, because the Bucks played horribly. They only scored 3 points that game.
Yeah, but this is the playoffs, and we both know both of these guys are different people in the playoffs.
Yep.
They're different in the playoffs. It just is. So we'll predict that game when we get to it. But what have you got for me?
So for me is another quarterback question. I want you to tell me if you think this quarterback's going to be back, and I just want your opinion of this quote from his coach. So Mike Tomlin on Ben Roethlisberger. It's reasonable to assume there's a chance he'll be back.
Oh, Jesus, that's a lot of... Is that a lot of double talk?
So does that mean he's not coming back?
So before I answer that question directly, It immediately reminds me of I'm a big fan of the Mystery Science Theater guys and the alumni that have popped out of it. There's a website called Riff Tracks that does basically what Mystery Science Theater does. They play bad movies and they record audio tracks and commentary. They found a movie from the 70s called Santa and the Ice Cream Bunny. Are you familiar with this?
Not that one.
You can't even really call it a movie. But long story short, at the end of it, the Ice Cream Bunny has to save Santa, and Santa needs to get back to the North Pole. And Santa looks at the Ice Cream Bunny and says, "So we've established that we will try to make it if we can. Yes?" And that's kind of what I just heard in my head when you read me that quote. Like, what are you actually saying here? Are you asking me a question? Are you saying yes? We think Ben will be back? Or you like the Ice Cream Bunny must have been like, what, are you asking me? Are we gonna make it? Are you saying yes? We're gonna make it? I mean, it's just what he's honestly saying is I don't know. And if this were any other team in the NFL, the real question would be, is he going to be back? But the Pittsburgh Steelers don't fire their coaches. Like, ever.
No.
Like, I think he's like the 6th coach in the history of the organization. And I think he's still the shortest tenured, and he's been there for a decade.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just remember that. Just remember that, I believe you have to go back 40 years to find their fourth coach, because I believe Chuck Noll passed it off to Bill Cowher, who passed it off to Mike Tomlin. They don't fire coaches. So anybody else, they'd be asking, well, maybe you should be done here too, but they don't fire the coach. I think Ben's going to retire. I assume you saw the news about after the game, he and Marquise Pouncey wouldn't leave the field. They actually started packing up equipment, and they were still sitting on one of the benches.
Oh, yeah. They were both really upset.
They were upset, and they both said they would go out together. They both have, I think, a year left on their contract, but people were like, it's just, I mean, I think it's Juju is a free agent, and he came up and apologized to both of them while they were sitting there that he didn't do more. I mean, I think there's going to be some changes in the personnel of the Steelers, and you know what? I think maybe it's time there is.
Yeah.
I don't know. What I watched, and I won't go there because we're going to talk about the games in a second. What do you think? Do we get Ben back?
I mean, that's a tough one. I think he's going to have to think about that. I mean, if there's 1 year left on his contract, depending how that's worded and how much money, it could entice him to come back for one more season. But if he does come back for one more, I think then he's done. Done. Mm-hmm.
All right, so my last question for you. The word out of the LA Rams camp is that Aaron Donald feels no pain in his ribs. My question is 2 parts. Number 1, does this give the Rams a chance against the Packers? And number two, is the statement that he feels no pain really a good thing to say, given the fact that the league has had trouble with like managing drugs? I mean, is he feel no pain because he's healed or because they're injecting him with stuff?
That's a valid question. I'm sure he got injected with a lot of stuff.
Feels like
we'll probably never know what that stuff is, but that's probably why he doesn't feel any pain. And he's probably going to get injected with more stuff before the next game. So, I mean, does it help the Packers? Yeah, or not the Packers. Does it help the Rams against the Packers? Yes, because their defense is always better when he's on the field. But
how much does it move the needle? I mean, if you're giving the Packers like a 95% chance, what are you giving them, 94, 93?
Yeah, maybe, because I don't think... I don't know. I mean, I know that, what's his name? Jalen Ramsey is going to be covering Devontae.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's going to be a good matchup, but, as, we've stated before, Rodgers is one of those quarterbacks that if he has four, let's say he's on a play, he has four people he can throw to.
Right.
He's going to see who the worst offender of those four people are and throw to that receiver.
Yeah. And
then he's going to take advantage of it the entire game. So.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Absolutely true. All right, so let's move on. So this week's going to be a little different. We're not going to play America's favorite game, and the reason being is there's only 4 games to talk about. And there's only one that's got an under 50, and that's Green Bay, LA, and that's a 46. So it's not exactly like we have
right
a lot of things to talk about there. So first thing I want to do is I want to go over just really quickly, game by game, how Wild Card Weekend went, our thoughts from Wild Card Weekend, and then we're going to look ahead to this week and talk a little bit of the DFS and what we think will come out of this week. So really quick, so we had to start the weekend. I think I'm going in order when I read this. I believe I am. We started the weekend with Colts at Bills. Mm-hmm. And the final score of that is 27-24. The Colts had opportunities galore, but I never felt watching that game that the outcome was in doubt, because the Colts just miscued time and time again. So, Craig, your thoughts on Bills Colts and what stuck out from you? What stuck with you from that game, and where does it go from here for the Colts, who are now done?
The same kind of thing. I had a feeling the Bills were going to win that game, but it always seemed like the Colts couldn't take advantage of opportunities, so they were always in the game, but they never really capitalized on anything.
Right. They were always like a score down, but I never thought they were going to get that score.
Right, exactly. And then part of me just, it's kind of sad to see Phillip Rivers lose, because we don't know if he's going to come back next season either.
I've made a football watching career of watching Phillip Rivers lose, as I'm a fan of the AFC West. But should they bring him back? I feel like they should if he wants to play again. If he wants to play another year, I think
he can play again. There was really nothing from that game saying he couldn't play again. That loss was, I can't say that loss was his fault.
I mean, he didn't play great either.
He didn't play great either, but it wasn't just him. It's not like he threw for 5 interceptions.
Right. I think he only threw the one at the end of the game, which was really bad, maybe 2. So
yeah.
All right. So that brings us to the second game of the weekend, was Rams Seahawks. I actually did not see this game. I don't remember why. I was driving somewhere. Where the hell was I going? I don't know.
You're somewhere.
I was going somewhere. Rams Seahawks, the final score is 30-20. The Rams upset the Seahawks. I did see the post-game comments by what's his name, the coach of the Seahawks. Why am I drawing a blank? Who's that guy?
Pete Carroll.
Yeah, Pete Carroll. Thank you. Just drew a complete blank on Pete Carroll's name. And he struck me as a guy who was like, I don't know why I'm standing here. I don't know how this happened.
And that's why he fired your offensive coordinator.
I'm sorry, Schottenheimer ends up being a scapegoat for this team. A scapegoat for this team. Okay? This team's defense was bad. all year long. All year long. And you sat there like, I don't know how we ended up here. I'll tell you how you ended up here. You gave up 30 points to the Rams.
Yeah.
You gave up 30 points to the Rams. Do you know how many people gave up 30 points on Wild Card Weekend and won? One. The bloody Browns gave up 37 to the Steelers. Okay? You scored 20 points. With all of your weapons, you scored 20 points. Do you know how many teams scored 20 points and won?
How many?
One. The Ravens. That was it. So, you know what? I feel like Schottenheimer ends up being a scapegoat here. And I'm telling you right now, if I'm the New York Jets, because the Jets are supposedly going to chase that defensive coordinator from San Francisco, my next phone call is to Brian Schottenheimer. Get him in here, because that guy's the head coach is going to be a defensive guru. We need somebody who can run the offense, and I will take what Seattle has thrown away because Pete Carroll. I'm sorry, this is a failure on Pete Carroll. I feel like this is a failure on Pete Carroll. The person you should be asking how they got there is himself.
Yeah,
Your thoughts?
I don't know. They looked lost that game.
Did they look flat?
They just looked flat. Like they were just really. They weren't. I don't know, into it, or they just didn't. They were just like, we're just here, kind of thing.
And it's a divisional rival. You know what you're going up against.
Yeah,
this is the third time you've seen the Rams. It's not like you don't know what you're walking into, and and this is not the first time you've played McVay. You know what he's about. You know what Goff is going to do.
Mm-hmm.
You should not be shocked if they drop 30 on you. You need to be prepared for that, and they weren't. So this falls on Pete Carroll for me. Pete Carroll needs to be the man in the mirror on this one. So
yep.
Then that night was
really quick with the Rams, though. Do you know?
Yeah, please.
Do you know who might start the game for the Rams? At quarterback.
This week, is it going to be? Is it going? It isn't.
Guess who?
It isn't.
It is. Say his
Blake
name.
Bortles. Blake Bortles. I thought didn't they cut Blake Bortles?
He's back.
Well, you see, that's the thing. You don't cut Blake Bortles. Blake Bortles
He's never left.
Well, that's it. Blake Bortles walked into the office and said, "Listen, hey, if I'm not gonna get some playing time, I'm gonna cut the Rams. I'm sorry, we just gotta part ways. There's nothing I can do." Are you serious?
Yeah.
Because Goff is still hurt. He looked terrible from what I heard.
And Wilford he's not playing.
He's still. I mean, they discharged him from the hospital before the end of the game, but still.
Yeah, I don't think he's not playing.
Oh my God! You have to.
Can you imagine if Blake Bortles goes into Green Bay and wins?
That's it. If that happens, I'm done.
Everyone gets a Blake Bortles jersey.
Everybody gets a Blake Bortles jersey. Okay, I didn't run predictions this week, but I'm looking at one of my sources, and they're telling me Goff is going to end up starting.
Oh, okay.
Goff with 4 fingers on his throwing hand is a better option than Blake Bortles.
Hey, Blake Bortles has 2 playoff wins since 2017.
But that's where we're at. All right, Bucks Washington 31-23 is the final there. I think the only thing that's shocking there is that Washington scored 23 points
with their backup QB.
With their backup QB,
who looked pretty good.
Yeah, he did. He really did. My only comment on this game, and I did watch most of that game. My only comment on this game is Ron Rivera has the pieces. He has the pieces on offense. This team could be good in a year or two. I think the Dwayne Haskins debacle was a huge distraction, and now that is over, I think Washington. I'm gonna go out on a limb right now. Without knowing anything that happens in the postseason, Washington could win 10 games next year.
In that division? Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Any other division or an 8 team, they could win 10 games in the NFC East next year. Easily. In my opinion.
No, they definitely
Thoughts
could.
on Bucks Washington.
And it was really no surprise that the Bucks won. And I think, as you just said, this proved that Washington has a future, especially with that backup quarterback who I can't remember his name. It starts with an H. What was his name? Damn it. It's not Henke. It's not Henke. That's someone else.
Oh,
what was his name?
It was Henke.
Was it?
Wasn't it?
Damn
I
it.
don't know. I used him in a
anyway,
one. I can't even tell you his name.
they clearly have a quarterback going forward, depending what Alex Smith wants to do.
Oh, Alex Smith thinks he's going to retire, too.
Yeah. But
Taylor Hinkie. Yeah.
There we go. Thank you.
That's the right name.
Yeah, wasn't there another quarterback named Hinkie? Like a long time ago?
It might be the same kid.
Oh, dear God.
I don't think it is, but it might be.
But yeah, there was no surprise to me who won that game. It's just, Washington definitely has a future with the players they have now.
Yep. All right, so let's fly over to Sunday really quick. We had Ravens at Titans to start the day. Ravens outlast the Titans 20-13, in which was a game that I felt a little bit better about as the game went on, because I was worried if the seeds all held, the winner of this game was going to be in Kansas City this week. And of course, we know that didn't happen. But as I watched it, I got a little more comfortable with the fact that I really thought Kansas City could beat either of these teams. I didn't think either played particularly well. They had their moments, but I didn't see anything that made me say, oh my God, I don't want to have to play either. So instead, we have the upset. So I believe Ravens are going to have to go to the Bills this week.
Mm-hmm.
But Ravens, Titans, your takeaways, other than Ryan Tannehill actually is Ryan Tannehill.
I would just like to know what team the Titans are, because I have no clue. They either look like they're unstoppable, or they look like a high school team. Like I don't even know what causes it. I have no idea. It's like they can.
I can. Yeah.
No, what were you gonna say?
What? I was just gonna say I think I have an idea to answer that question.
What's that?
I think it's game planning. I think their game plan was very specific and it didn't execute. And their game plan didn't have a plan B, because Derrick Henry was stalking the lines, complaining to anybody who would listen that he wasn't getting enough touches. And the game plan was, they're going to expect us to use Derrick Henry, so we're going to use everything but Derrick Henry as much as we can.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't work.
It's like, I watched the Bengals beat the Titans, and it's like they'd screwed up the Titans' entire year, because they just, after they lost to the Bengals, they were like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah,
I need an adult.
And Tannehill started being Tannehill again.
Exactly.
So next game was Bears at Saints. Oh,
poor Sean.
I think this is why Sean had a scheduling conflict tonight. I mean, and I honestly, I'm not going to hold it against him. This was abysmal to watch.
Yeah, it was not.
The only highlight of this game was the Nickelodeon coverage, which I didn't watch.
They didn't censor. They forgot about the censor delay there.
Yeah, that's something they'll improve on next time. But I did read a lovely article about the Nickelodeon. I like the fact that they're appealing to younger kids and trying to get fans interested in the game. But yeah, I mean, and what's his name got slimed at the end of it? The coach from New Orleans. God, why am I blanking on names tonight? Maybe the shot is effective.
It's your COVID shot.
COVID shot's causing my memory to be worse than normal. Normally my memory's not very good. So, all right. So, any comments on Bears Saints, or can I just move on?
It's Sean Payton, and you just move on, because the Bears are actually, Chuck Pagano retired, so the Bears are going to need a new defensive coordinator.
Yes, I saw that. And
Chuck probably a new quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, and I think I said that to Sean. I said, you got to understand, losing is probably a win, because it gives you the ammunition to move away from Trubisky.
Blake Bortles.
Blake Bortles is Blake Bortles Bears. Triple B. Get used to it. The nightcap was Browns Steelers. I needed the Browns to win this game for a lot of reasons. Number one, to reinforce my constant statement throughout the year. Go ahead and check the tape on this. When the Steelers were like 7-0, Craig and I were both saying their schedule is really light. Their schedule is really light, and they haven't played anybody. And down the stretch, they end up losing 5 of their last 6, and including this game. And it did. As soon as they went down on our texting thread, the source chimed in and said, "Can the Steelers come back?" And I said, "No." I said they are not coached for comebacks like this. Now they tried. I'll give them credit. They made it a lot closer than I thought they were going to. They kept their composure better than I thought they would. But the Browns just sat out there and am I afraid of the Browns now? Not really. I think the Browns made their statement, and they made their statement against the team that they wanted to make their statement against. And I think Kansas City will benefit from that.
I don't think their defense can keep up with Andy Reid.
Oh no, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I mean, they'll try, but it's not going to happen.
You want to know how to beat the Chiefs this weekend? Nick Chubb. 4th and 16, draw to Nick Chubb.
Actually, is it going to be weird with the Chiefs playing against Kareem Hunt?
I think Kareem Hunt's going to want to go out there for blood. I don't think Kareem Hunt is vengeful. This isn't like a Marcus Peters thing, which, by the way, is the other side effect of the Browns winning. Marcus Peters and the Ravens are not coming to Kansas City, because when the Ravens won and Marcus Peters got that last pick off, I went, oh no.
There'll be no sock throwing.
I mean, he burned his way out of Kansas City in a way that's almost unfathomable. So, I want to take one quick step back. Speaking of people who are burning their way out, I do have one problem with the way the Ravens game ended.
Mm-hmm.
Freaking Lamar Jackson went straight to the media after the game. He didn't shake anybody's hand.
Oh, I thought he came back out, didn't he?
He came back out to do a media interview.
Oh, I thought he came back out. I thought he left and came back out, and then
he ran to the tunnel, and then when he was in the tunnel, somebody said something to him, and he hung around at the edge of the tunnel, and he slapped hands of guys who were coming off the field. Then he got interviewed by ESPN, and then he went over to another microphone, and then he went into the tunnel. Dude, come on. You have to be better than that.
Yeah, don't be Tom Brady.
and that's the thing. And that's the thing. Brady does that when he's lost, when he loses a game that he can't internalize in the moment. You won. That's worse than what Brady did. We've all lost in competitions and been like, you know what? I just can't. I can't deal with people right now. I need. And sometimes quarterbacks can do that. They can say, okay, well, I can put up with it for 30 seconds, and they okay, yeah, good luck, blah blah blah, and they walk off. You won the game. You have to be gracious. Do you know what? I curl. Do you know what the biggest sin in curling is? The biggest sin, worse than like kicking an opponent's stone or accidentally hitting a stone with a broom that might change its course. The biggest sin in curling is not shaking your opponent's hand at the beginning and end of a match.
Wow.
It is the unforgivable sin. I had it one time. I was captaining a team. This is years ago. And one of my guys played really, really badly. And the match ended, and he just walked off the ice and went into the locker room. And I looked at the opposing captain and I said, keep your team out here. And it was a first-year guy. And I went into the locker room and I went, you didn't stick around for handshaking. And he didn't answer me. I said, go back out there and shake their hands, or we'll talk about getting you on another team next week. And I just walked out, and he came out and he shook hands. It's just done that way. And I don't understand why that's so hard in the NFL. And we got creamed. We lost like 10-2 that night. It was bad.
That's bad. That's really bad.
It's bad in curling if you give up 10. It's bad. All right, anyway. All right, so let's move forward.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the games this weekend, because I'm not keeping a strong eye on time, but I feel like I'm already running late. It's like I feel like we've already been talking
like 35 minutes.
Oh, we're fine then. We're fine, because we took last week off. We have plenty of time. So, all right, let's talk about the divisional round.
All right.
And let's go in order of the games again. So we're starting off the week with Rams at Packers. The Packers move on. Let's see, what's the over/under in this game? What's the over/under I have on the site is 46, which means anticipated score of 26-19 roughly. It's not clean at 46 because Green Bay is a 7-point favorite. 26-19 Green Bay. So 2 questions for you. Do you like that score? And B, give me a player on at least one team, if not one from each, that you think is going to be DFS relevant.
What was the score again?
26-19. Does that sound legit to you? And if not, how would you adjust it?
Yeah, I would probably make it 17. To me, makes a little bit more sense in my head. Especially with the way Green Bay has been playing the last few weeks. They're playing in Green Bay. I haven't checked the weather report for Green Bay yet, but if you're a visitor in Green Bay in the winter, it is not in your favor ever.
Yeah.
Especially with the Rams coming from LA. They're in a dome. They don't have to worry about weather. It's very hard to adjust to, But I think the Packers win this game. And I think the Rams, unless it's Blake Bortles, they can maybe get to 21. But I think 17 is the better score.
Okay, give me a player on each team.
Each team. Let's see. I feel like Cam Akers could be, depending if he stays healthy in the middle of the game.
That's the same one for me.
Yeah. He can be a deciding factor because the Packers' run defense they're not bad, but they're not super good. They're right in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Aaron Rodgers is going to have a field day against the Rams defense.
I was going to go Devontae Adams. I'm looking right now because I think his salary is prohibitive. His salary is $8,600. I want to use Devontae Adams, but I can't at $8,600. I've got him pegged roughly at about 18 points, and that's not enough. That's barely 2x. That's barely 2x value. I can't. So you know what? I'm gonna agree with you there. I'm gonna say Rodgers. Akers is a good one. I'm also gonna say the Rams. Tyler Higbee is an interesting option. I have a better choice in my mind. But I think that's a usable option. I think it's gonna be a little more high scoring. I think you take the over. I think it's gonna be closer to like 30-22 kind of final. Give them each another touchdown in my opinion. So the Saturday nightcap is Ravens at Bills. This game is, hold on, I'm pulling it up, is a 50, and Buffalo is only favored by 2.5.
Really? In
which
Buffalo?
Which means roughly you're looking at 26-24, roughly.
And what's the weather in Buffalo? Because I don't think Lamar's ever played in the snow.
It snows all the time in Buffalo during the winter.
Yes.
It gets lake effect. They get lake effect all the bloody time. I can see if there's a weather report available on NFL.com.
At home in cold weather, and I know Baltimore, they play outside, they get cold, but Buffalo is cold, like really cold. I think Buffalo is playing on momentum, especially seeing this is their first playoff win in 25 years. And I just think if the weather isn't conducive to how Lamar plays, the Ravens, they don't have a chance.
See, I'm going to go the other way because the Ravens, because of Lamar Jackson, are the number one rushing team in the NFL. They have more yards than any other team in the NFL. And if the weather is bad, you're going to run the ball. So
yeah, but can he run? Can he run in the mud and or snow?
Yeah, he can do it. He can do it. I'm more worried about Josh Allen.
I would be worried.
They're a top 10 defense.
I would be worried about him getting hurt. Actually.
Yeah. It's a possibility, but if he gets hurt, your season's over either way.
That's a
You're
valid
not going
point.
to be able to
That's a valid
contain.
point.
You're not going to contain him. The coaches are not going to coach to put Lamar at risk, but Lamar is not going to play to keep Lamar out of risk. Lamar is going to play whatever he thinks he does to do.
Right.
It was a whole lot of words.
And then
actual words.
Do you assume that he might, maybe, possibly be back? Maybe.
So we've established that we're going to try. But I think Lamar is going to go out there and do what Lamar thinks he needs to do. That's what I meant to say. And if that means he's going to try and rush and he's going to end up hurting himself, that's what he's going to do, whether the coaches like it or not.
Yeah, it's just that if they get behind, by 14 points, I think that's when the Ravens have to worry because, like we've said before, the Ravens don't know how to play from behind. They just they just don't have even though their rushing is amazing, they're down by 2 or 3 touchdowns. It seems like they have no clue what to do.
What was their situation this weekend? They were behind to the Titans at one point, were they not? But not like significantly.
No, I think it was like either like 3 or 7 points. It wasn't a lot.
It was 10.
10?
It was 10. It was 10-0 Tennessee at the end of the first quarter, but then Baltimore answered in the second. They went into the half tied at 10.
Okay. So they
And
really
then Baltimore
weren't
took the lead
trailing.
and never relinquished. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they were trailing at the end of one, but yeah, when they went into halftime, they weren't down significantly, and so that's a concern. That is absolutely a concern, and I share it. But you know what? I think Lamar's a year older. I'm not going to be surprised if this team goes down by 14 and it's early enough if they come back. If they're down by 14 at the half, they're not done. If they're done by 21 at the half,
in this game, there is a chance both of the quarterbacks could have the most rushing yards for both teams.
Right, which leads us to the next question. Who are you using off these teams in DFS? Who do you like?
Ooh, that's tough. I think you have to use Stephon Diggs.
Yeah,
I haven't checked his salary.
Weather permitting, yeah. 7,300 on DraftKings. Got it on my screen.
Oh, all right. That's all right. That's manageable. It's definitely manageable.
I mean, I'm gonna avoid the wide receivers in this game just because both quarterbacks I think are gonna be scrambling for their lives. You know who I like in this game? You're gonna love this pick. You're gonna love this. J.K. Dobbins.
Nice.
I like some J.K. Dobbins in this game. I like Gus Edwards too because Gus Edwards isn't insanely
Remember Gus
cheap.
Edwards?
So every week, Edwards in terms of points is like 2 or 3 points behind J.K. Dobbins. So if Dobbins has 15, Gus Edwards has like 10 or 11. You know, if Dobbins has 9, Gus Edwards has 6. But the problem is J.K. Dobbins is 6K. Gus Edwards is only 4,200. So I'm getting better value out of Gus Edwards than I am out of J.K. Dobbins. But I do think that they're gonna run a lot this game, and I think that either Dobbins or Edwards is a good call. Now on the Buffalo side, if this is a running game, Devin Singletary is only 4,500.
Wow, that is cheap.
Game. That's very cheap for Devin Singletary, and I've got him pegged for double-digit points. I think he could be a value. So I am going to steer clear of the quarterbacks because I think they're both very expensive. I'll pull it up really quick. But the running backs are cheap, and the wide receivers are. Josh Allen's 7,400. Okay, that's upper end. I think that's third highest. And Lamar Jackson is 7,600. Yeah, they're the second and third most expensive quarterbacks this weekend. Now, granted, there's only 4 games, so there's only 8 quarterbacks. So, well, they're number 2 and number 3. Yeah, but still. So I think I'm gonna look at the running backs in that game. Any other wisdom on that game? You still want Diggs?
Yeah, I think so because he always has the potential to be like have an explosive play, like once a quarter. So I think I would still go with Diggs.
Okay. I'm getting a work email.
Uh-oh.
Okay, I can deal with that in the morning. Yeah, I've lately been finding my work emails come in when I'm not at work.
Oh,
like no one bothers me when I'm
nice
actually like on the clock.
They're like, Britt,
and then, like,
calm down.
On a Tuesday.
Take an easy day. We'll bother you at 7.
Yeah, that's really where I am. That's really where I'm at these days. So, speaking of where we're at, let's talk about Browns at Chiefs. This game is I gotta change the tabs. A 56 over under.
What?
Why? Because you can't stop the Chiefs' offense, and Kansas City doesn't stop anyone. So both teams are going to score a lot. Kansas City is a 10-point favorite, and the anticipated final there was 33-23. So same 2 questions for you. You like that score, and who are you using in this game?
How much is Mahomes?
Like 8,000? Hold on.
Oh, man.
I wish I was joking. Yeah, he's 8K. He's 8,000.
That's a lot for
the
DFS.
most expensive. He's the most expensive guy on the board. I can't use him this week.
No,
I can't.
That's too much.
I get better value out of literally every other matchup, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I like Chubb. I mean, he's probably also expensive. I don't have the numbers in front of me.
I'm pulling it up right now. You keep talking.
Kelsey's also probably how much is Kelsey's probably going to be, like 8,000 for a tight end.
Oh, Kelsey's astronomical. He's got to be 7,800.
Yeah, no, can't.
Wow, wait.
It's hard.
I
you know what? With towards the end of DFS, there's not that many teams to pick from.
Wow.
So,
Do you know who the second most expensive on the slate is?
Who?
It's Mark Andrews at $5K. Travis Kelce is a Mark Andrews and a half.
Wow.
That's insane.
That's insane. That is insane. No, that's crazy.
All right, so did Chiefs by 10, 33-23? You're cool with that?
Chiefs by at least 10, because like I said before, I don't think the Browns can keep up with anything Andy Reid comes up with while he's standing on the sideline.
That's it. And I think this game is going to be very one-sided. I do.
It's going to. And for the record, Cinch, I don't not like the Browns, okay? Because they're named after Paul Brown, who also founded the Bengals. So I don't not like the Browns. I'm not a Baker fan. That is my issue with them.
Yeah.
I don't.
You and Colin Cowherd.
I don't like the Steelers. So when I was watching that game, the Browns versus Steelers, that would have been like Britt watching the Chargers and the Broncos. Like, who's he supposed to root for? Whichever one he hates less.
Essentially. A better example for me would be Broncos Raiders.
Oh, there you
go. Those are the two teams in AFC. I'm like, I can't deal with you now.
Yeah, exactly. Like, who do you just root for? Who you like less or more or whatever? But
right.
But this worked out because now the Browns are going to play the Chiefs, and the Chiefs are more than likely going to win. So.
I think so. I think the Chiefs are a definitive favorite here. Why did the new computer just turn itself off?
It might be either put itself to sleep or it did an update and it's restarting.
Okay, good. I'm glad I'm recording on the laptop today. Yeah, the new setup will be live next week, and it'll be live tomorrow night when I'm on Twitch. But yeah, I think the Chiefs are going to come in here and they're going to roll. I feel it. If the Browns are not going to do in Kansas City what they did in Pittsburgh last week, it's just not going to happen. I don't see it happening. But does that mean the Browns aren't going to make it a competitive game? Does that mean the Browns can't win it? Absolutely not. The Browns can come out there and outplay the Chiefs and win this game. And if it does, it's close.
They could.
I don't think they're going to run.
I just think it's unlikely.
It is unlikely. I'm going to put that like a 3% chance. But I'll tell you right now, the guys that I like in this game, Austin Hooper, the Chiefs. You would think a team with an exceptional tight end would spend a lot of time trying to stop other tight ends, and they just don't.
Yeah, they're like, why bother?
They just don't. So Austin Hooper, to me, is a huge value, and he's not super expensive. He's at 3,800.
Wow.
3,800. So what does that mean? He needs like 11 points? He can get 11 points. If they're going to score a touchdown in the air, it's going to be with Austin Hooper.
Mm-hmm.
And on the Kansas City side of the ball, I don't know. We know who returned to practice today?
Who?
Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Oh, he did.
Clyde practiced today. Clyde's only 5,500.
Ooh, that could be a sneaky play.
That could be sneaky. I don't know if I'm not saying I'm on board with it, particularly with Devin Singletary staring at me 4,500, but I might be tempted to pull the CEH button. I just might push that button. I don't know. All right. Well, who do we talk about? There's another game. Oh, Bucks Saints. Okay, yeah. Why on earth? I'm going to complain about this before we go any further with this.
Yeah.
I am going to complain about this. Why is the last game of the week the one with the old people in it? Why did they put the old people game at 6 o'clock? Because you know what? Drew Brees and Tom Brady don't want to be playing then. They want to be sitting at home watching 60 Minutes, like all the other old people in America. And
sidebar, they're the same age bracket as Britt and I.
And you know what? I actually did watch 60 Minutes last Sunday. I had the game on my laptop unmuted, and I had 60 Minutes on the television because they were interviewing Nancy Pelosi about the riots. So I actually was watching 60 Minutes. Oh, God, we're old. Yeah, I am older than Drew Brees. I'm older than both of them.
Yeah.
You young kids, get off my lawn. So that's my gripe there. This game, I think this game's going to be high scoring. Let me see what the line is on it. It's a 52, and they've got New Orleans favored by 3, 27-24. I'm not sure about that. I think this could be a line upset. I think Tampa actually has a chance to win this game. But I think there's several usable pieces on both sides of the ball. If you're going to use value at the other spots, you can afford to pay up a little bit here. I don't think I use either quarterback, but I might. But
would you use Ronald Jones?
I might. He's not super expensive. Hold on, I was just looking at that. He's 5,200. I don't think I would use him over Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but 5,200 is kind of hard to ignore. You know?
Yeah, very true.
Wideouts though. I'm pretty sure what's Michael Thomas up to? Michael Thomas is up at 6,700. Okay, I probably would use a piece of him. But
what's Kamara at? Like 8,500?
Oh God, I didn't even look. I'm scared to look. Alvin Kamara is 7,900. That's actually the most expensive running back of the week. And I think that's because there was a lot of passing in the wild card weekend.
True. And he did have that 6 touchdown game like 2 weeks ago.
That's it. I think, there's some logic to going easy on Kamara unless you need him to win the game. Yeah. And if you absolutely don't need 6 touchdowns at Kamara, then you can go easy on him. So I do see that.
See, I feel like this game I can't really decide yet. This game is either going to be close and come down to like a field goal or a touchdown, or it's going to be like the last time they played and one of them is going to just blow out the other one.
Yeah,
I can't really get my finger on which one is more likely, but
yeah, I don't think this game is going to be.
And again, it's a divisional game.
This game is either going to be back and forth, meaning constant lead changes, or it's going to be completely one-sided from the get-go.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that kind of sounds like, well, Britt, that's stupid to say. Every game is either back and forth or it's a complete blowout.
No, but this one really is, though.
Not really. Think about the Baltimore game this past weekend. They were tied at halftime. They came out and scored right away in the third quarter and never looked back, and it was still only a 7-point game. It wasn't really back and forth. The lead never changed again. The lead was always – I mean, the numbers changed, but the Ravens never lost the lead, and it wasn't a blowout. Mm-hmm. So there are those games that can be close, but still kind of, just out of reach. And I don't think that's what we're looking at here. I don't think it's 21-14, then it's 21-17, then it's 28-17, then it's 28-24. I don't think it's like one of those games where it's the two teams keep it within one score. It's either 7-0, 7-7, 10-7, 14-10. You know what I mean? Where it's constantly who's in the lead is switching, or it's completely one-sided. And right. I don't know which way to go with the one-sidedness. I mean, these are two guys, coach-wise, their offenses. Bruce Arians coaching against Sean Payton. Good luck figuring out who's going to win that. They're both very
pretty much.
talented.
And watch, every 5 plays, Bruce Arians is going to try a play that's like 40, 50 yards.
Yes, which is how Mike Evans gets his value.
Yes.
Which is how Mike Evans gets his value. And I don't see it this week. I know people are saying to use Mike Evans.
Is he playing?
I believe he's supposed to. I believe so. I haven't seen anything that says he's not. But I don't know. So, anyway. All right. What did we miss? That's all the games upcoming. Did we miss anything? Did we miss any news and notes of the week? Anything major? I don't think so. I'm not even sure why I'm online. Not even sure why I'm recording tonight. I'm all COVID. I got COVID.
No, I don't think so. Other than just teams looking for new head coaches. But
we got a whole off season to talk about that.
Yeah.
A whole off season to talk. I'm not going to worry about. And none of the coaching changes that right now are in play are really like super viable. Like I am really not worried about who coaches the Jets.
Yeah, it's
I'm
just,
really not.
every team has to, if they haven't interviewed Eric Bieniemy yet, they have to wait now. That's
Yes,
pretty much it.
yes. And Eric Bieniemy, do not take the Jets job. Listen to me. Do not take the Jets job. Do not go there. You have more credibility than the Jets. Don't go there. Sorry, Jet fans. All right, so let's go to final thoughts. Craig, what have you got for me this week?
You know what? Final thoughts are, it is 20, and I think I said this before, but, it is 2021. It doesn't automatically it doesn't automatically mean that everything suddenly gets better. Even if you get the shot like Brit, you still need to wear a mask. You still need to social distance. So just keep that in mind,
Be safe. Just be safe. My final thought this week is just everybody calm down. From a political standpoint, we had a really rough week, right? From a football standpoint, Steelers fans and other teams that lost that really wanted to, Seattle fans, everybody calm down. This is not the end of the world. I used to work with a guy, you all know I work in human service. I used to work with a guy who was a diehard Yankee fan. And if they lost in the playoffs, World Series or not, he would go through a terrible and open bout of depression. Like, I didn't think this could happen. How could this happen? They're the best team. What's that?
It could always happen.
It could always happen. And that's what I used to say to him. The best thing about sports, the great thing about sports, is that there's next year. And this kid used to ask me, how can you be a Mets fan and lose every year and put up with it? And he wasn't being derogatory when he asked. He was like, honestly, how do you root for a team that loses more often than it wins and not want to, like, be seriously self-injuring yourself?
You can ask me that about being a Bengal fan.
and yes, I'm a Met fan, and I'm trying to think of who else. Well, actually, Cinch and Sean were all Met fans.
Actually, everyone but me is. Well, I like the Mets, but I'm really a Yankee fan. But everyone else on the podcast is a Met fan.
Met fan, a dyed-in-the-wool Met fan.
Yep.
All of our contributors except for Craig, and he would ask me this question: how? Because the best thing about sports is there's always another season. There's always another game. There will be football again in September. All of you guys, there is only 8 teams playing left. 24 teams are already looking to next year. And that's the beautiful thing about sports. So if your team didn't advance this weekend or your team didn't make the playoffs, settle down before anybody starts peeling any potatoes. Let's all sit down and talk about this. We do not need our asses in the jackpot. So that's my final thought this week. Everybody just calm down, whether it be real life and politics and our nation and all that stuff. I can't just say our nation because we're huge in Canada. Thank you so much. We're still charting in Canada somehow.
Nice.
I have no idea.
Nice.
There must be a group of like 50 guys up in Canada that are our fan club.
Awesome.
If you are,
I'm all for
reach
it.
out to us. Seriously,
Please.
if you're in
I
Canada,
always want to see Vancouver.
Yes. Listen, if you're in Canada and you listen to this podcast, please email us. We are fignutsdfs@gmail.com. Send me something on Twitter, @fignutsdfs on Twitter. I want to hear from the Canadians this week. Why are you listening to us? What is it? I'm not saying we're not worth listening to. I'm just curious. What is your interest in it? And if it's, well, I've won money playing DFS, your DFS picks are good, that's great. I just want to hear from the Canadians this week. Everybody else can write us too, but the Canadians in particular. So, and leave us a review, particularly if you're from Canada. Canadians, leave us a review. I don't think it's a different review system. You can still leave a review.
You can.
On any of the websites that we use. So Craig and I will be back next week to talk about championship weekend.
Yeah, we made it. We made it the whole season.
I'm gonna say something relatively depressing right now.
Sure.
All right, please. I want you to brace yourself for this.
All right.
There is only 7 meaningful games left this season.
Wow.
4 this week, 2 this week, and 1 game 2 weeks later. And I'm the only guy on this podcast with a horse still in the race, which is not normal.
That is true. That is true.
I'm used to being out right now and watching the Patriots do stuff, and I'm not this year. So, But we will be back next week. Thank you so much for listening. Please leave us a review. Please reach out to us, particularly from Canada. We'd love to hear from you. Until then, we will see you next week. My name is Britt.
I'm Craig.
And we are the Football Fignuts Podcast.
Hi, Deb.